Late at night on October 18, 1973, four men flew through the quiet dark above Ohio. The sky was clear and full of stars as the autumn night air stayed cool and calm. Everything felt peaceful in the dark air high above the sleeping towns below. Yet, in a single moment, that quiet training flight turned into a terrifying near-miss encounter that would be studied by aviation experts for decades to come. Captain Larry Coyne was at the primary flight controls of the aircraft that night. He was a skilled pilot with years of flight time for the Army Reserve. Sitting next to him and behind him were three trained crew members who knew the night sky very well. They were flying a sturdy UH-1H helicopter on a simple trip back to their home base in Cleveland, expecting nothing unusual along their chosen route. As they flew over the countryside near Mansfield, Ohio, one of the crew members noticed a bright red light in the distance. At first it looked like a simple safety light on a small radio tower or distant commercial plane. But the light did not stay still or blink like a normal aircraft signal. It burned with a deep, steady red shine that seemed to grow larger and brighter with every passing second. The red light suddenly changed its flight path and headed straight for the UH-1H helicopter. It moved at an unbelievable speed across the dark sky, closing the wide space between them in seconds. Captain Larry Coyne realized this was not a standard plane or a falling star. It was moving fast on a direct collision path toward them, threatening a sudden crash in the middle of the dark night sky. To avoid a terrible crash, Captain Larry Coyne took quick action and pushed his flight control stick down hard. He put the Army Reserve helicopter into a fast dive, dropping thousands of feet per minute toward the dark ground below. He called out over the radio system to alert air traffic control tower operators, but the radio suddenly went silent and completely dead in his hands during the dive. Instead of passing by, the strange object matched their high speed and pulled directly in front of them. The four crew members looked out their front glass and saw a large, cigar-shaped metallic craft hovering right over their aircraft nose. It had no wings, no tail, and no visible engines or exhaust flames. Worst of all, it made no noise at all as it floated silently near their craft. The metallic craft carried a bright green light that turned down and flooded the inside of the helicopter. The cockpit was completely filled with a deep emerald glow that covered the pilots and their instrument control panels. During this strange encounter, the crew felt no heat from the green light, but they could see every gauge clearly under the bright shine that surrounded them in the dark sky. Then something happened that broke every known rule of flight physics. Captain Larry Coyne was still holding the flight controls in a steep dive, pointing the nose of the craft toward the dark earth below. Yet when he looked down at his altitude instruments, he saw the needles moving in the wrong direction. The altimeter showed they were climbing rapidly into the sky, going up instead of down. Without any engine sound or wind movement, the unknown craft had lifted the heavy UH-1H helicopter upward against gravity. They climbed from 1,500 feet to 2,500 feet in just a few short seconds. These unknown physical forces did not shake the airframe or cause the engine to strain. The helicopter was simply pulled upward while the pilot held the flight controls for a downward dive. The invisible grip on their helicopter simply let go. For endless seconds, the four men were trapped in a blinding green light, pulled upward by a silent force they could not fight. Then, without warning, the hold broke. The strange craft stopped its impossible climb. It hung in the air for one heavy heartbeat. Then, the red and green object shot away into the black sky. It moved with a brutal speed that no human jet could ever reach. Inside the flight cabin, the crushing weight of fear finally caught up to the crew. These men were trained for combat, prepared for the worst that human enemies could do. But nothing prepares a mind for total helplessness. They sat in the cold night air, their hearts hammering against their ribs. The heavy green glow faded from their faces, leaving behind a dark, terrifying silence. Every rule of flying had just been broken. Helicopters do not rise when pushed into a dive. Metal frames do not stay perfectly still when dragged upward by outside forces. Gravity had been paused, and their heavy machine was handled with terrifying ease. This was a clear display of power from a non-human intelligence, proving exactly who controlled the sky. The unknown craft tore north toward Lake Erie, shrinking into a fading star over the dark horizon. The black Ohio night rushed back in to fill the empty space. Below them, the quiet trees of Mansfield offered no comfort, only deep shadows. The men were left completely alone, trying to force their minds to accept the impossible truth. The true human cost of this event was a deep, lasting shock. Their trust in the natural laws of the world was gone forever. They had looked directly into a profound mystery, knowing they only survived because the object simply decided to leave. With the unknown craft gone, the flight controls of the UH-1H helicopter returned to normal instantly. Captain Larry Coyne leveled the aircraft and checked on his crew, who were all shaken but safe. The radio came back to life with static, allowing them to report their location once again. They landed safely at their destination, but they all knew they had witnessed something that defied scientific logic. On the ground near Mansfield, Ohio, eyewitness observers were standing outdoors during that exact hour. A local family watching the night sky saw the green light glow bright above the tree line. They saw the helicopter dive and then move upward while a strange light hovered above it. Their eyewitness accounts matched what the Army Reserve crew reported in their official flight log that night. When the crew returned to base, they filed a detailed report about their UAP encounter. Official logs and military records preserved every detail of what Captain Larry Coyne and his crew had experienced over Ohio. Unlike many other strange sky stories, this case was backed by 4 trained military personnel who had spent years flying aircraft in all kinds of weather conditions without visual error. Military investigators inspected the UH-1H helicopter after it landed safely on the airfield runway. They checked the flight instruments, the fuel system, and the mechanical parts for signs of damage or power failure. While the main engine was in good shape, the magnetic compass on board was broken and spun out of order, showing that strong, unknown forces had acted upon the physical structure. Air safety experts reviewed the flight logs and interviewed all 4 crew members separately. Their official statements matched in every detail, from the exact color of the green light to the way the altitude changed. None of the crew members changed their story or tried to make the encounter sound like a ghost story. They spoke with calm clarity about a real physical event in space. The flight behavior of the object showed physical forces that humans could not build back in 1973. To stop instantly, hover silently, and pull a heavy helicopter upward requires advanced technology. There was no hot exhaust, no loud sonic boom, and no air turbulence created as it moved. The craft moved through the night sky as if the standard rules of gravity did not apply. The UAP near-miss incident near Mansfield became one of the most famous military cases in history because of its strong physical evidence. It was not just a light seen from far away in the dark sky. It was a clear physical interaction between an unknown object and an Army Reserve crew that altered the movement of a real military helicopter in level flight without touching it. For Captain Larry Coyne, the encounter changed how he viewed his official duty as a pilot. He spoke openly about what happened on October 18, 1973, standing by his written report before military panels and safety boards. He refused to stay quiet or treat the sighting like a simple mistake, knowing that the physical flight data proved something real had taken place above Ohio. Official military reports on unknown phenomena often tried to explain away sightings as weather balloons, bright stars, or swamp gas. But the Mansfield incident was different because the instrument readings and ground reports could not be dismissed so easily. The data log showed a real upward lift force that moved a heavy aircraft without any physical touching or engine pull from the pilot. When scientists look at the records from that night in 1973, they see a pattern that shows up in other military file archives. Unknown phenomena often show the ability to move without sound and affect electronic equipment nearby. The green light and magnetic disturbance on the helicopter compass point to energy forces that remain unknown to modern human science and flight engineering today. The silence from government leaders about these events left many deep questions unanswered for decades. Even when official military logs confirmed the details, public reports often downplayed the danger posed to military flight crews. Yet the clear record written by Captain Larry Coyne stood as a constant reminder that our skies hold technologies far beyond our current scientific understanding and human capability. The lessons learned from this 1973 case helped shape how military organizations track unknown craft today. Pilots are now encouraged to report weird flight sightings without fear of losing their jobs or professional reputation. The courage shown by the Army Reserve crew opened the door for honest talks about non-human intelligence and advanced physical phenomena moving through our atmosphere without permission. Decades after that dark night over Mansfield, Ohio, the UH-1H helicopter incident remains an unsolved mystery of modern history. The physical evidence, matched witness reports, and strange lift forced upon the aircraft show that something truly extraordinary happened. That quiet flight on October 18, 1973, proved that the sky holds mysteries that still defy our understanding of nature and flight technology.